I'm currently living and working remotely from Seoul, South Korea, and in this video I'm going to take you behind the scenes on my day-to-day and what it looks like, how my days are structured, and yeah, just take you along for the journey. And so if you're curious about doing something similar, maybe through a remote job or starting your own business, what is in store for you potentially. So yeah, definitely come along with me for the ride and we'll get into it. So I typically start my day around the same times because I like to keep my sleep schedule as consistent as possible. Now, the nice thing about Korea is I can start my day a little bit later. So I run calls in my mentorship program about twice a week, and today happens to be one of the days where we have a call. So I'm waking up a little bit before 8 a.m. so I can get everything set up and ready to go. Since I'm on Korea time, it's a little bit more accessible than when I'm in, say, Bangkok, and I have to wake up at 6 a.m. because it's 2 hours ahead. So that's one thing that's pretty nice. And actually there was the time change in America recently. Daylight savings went away, so actually it's a little bit before 9 a.m. nowadays that I need to wake up. Now the first thing that I do is, if it's on a non-call day, I will get some work done just from there. I usually just pretty much wake up and start working. The nice thing is, because it's the business that I own and control, there's no hard times where I have to be working unless I have these calls and things like that, or if I have some kind of one-on-one call set up with someone. And no sitting in pointless meetings. That's one of the biggest advantages of owning my own stuff. I don't have to sit there and sit in a meeting that has nothing to do with me, or tangentially has some random piece to do with me, and then most of it's a waste of time. Nope, don't have to deal with that anymore. Everything that I do is super impactful for me and for my business. So that is one of the biggest advantages. You guys watching this, you know how much that sucks to sit in those meetings, right? I don't have to harp on that for too long. Yeah, now that I've woken up, I brushed my teeth, gotten dressed, and ran the call and everything. One of the things I don't have time for on these kind of days, if I run it like this, is I'm a big coffee person, and I don't have time to drink coffee when I do this. Sometimes I'll go the night before and buy a coffee from the convenience store, put it in my fridge. But I'm gonna be honest, I prefer a hot coffee. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. This is typically what I do after my calls. Especially here in Korea, there are so many coffee shops. I'm gonna go to one right across the street, really convenient. And the amazing thing about coffee here is that it's just so affordable. I love to drink Americanos, and it just so happens that that is the coffee that everyone drinks here. You can find it super cheap. You can find it everywhere. So yeah, really good fit for me. Find places that synergize with things that you like. This is a very simple example here. I wouldn't move to a place just because they have cheap Americanos, but I mean, hey, some people might, right? But it is a pretty good upside, and there might be certain things about the culture, about the what they value, about how life is there, that just resonates with you. And yeah, look for those things for sure. So you can see right now I am walking through my neighborhood here. It's a really cool area. This area is in Gangnam. It's called Seoul. Yeah, this is a really cool little neighborhood here. There's so much in this one little area that I don't have to travel too much unless I want to sightsee and stuff like that, but a lot of the stuff is right here. And if I want to go to the main Gangnam area, I could literally just take the train down 2 stops to get there. I could go to a massive mall called COEX Mall that is only 1 stop over as well. So everything's super accessible here. And as you can see, the coffee shop is literally right here. I'm gonna pick up an Americano and we'll get started on the real, really be awake at that point. And as you see here, these coffees are so huge. So this Americano is 20 ounces, and I only paid 1,500 won for it, which at the time of this recording is barely over $1. I think it's $1.08. It's really that cheap. This was something that very much surprised me about South Korea, because everyone says Thailand's super cheap, and Seoul is definitely more expensive than Thailand in almost every conceivable way. However, when it comes to Americanos, I paid more in Thailand than I paid here. In Thailand, I pay about $2 and something for Americano that is way smaller than this, a 12 or 16 ounce, I think. This is a 20 ounce for $1.08, so you really can't beat that. It's dangerous here actually for me. I gotta hold myself off to only drink one of these a day. So I'm drinking a little more coffee now. I gotta be careful. So now I am running my call with my clients. Right now at the moment, we're working on my network Pentest workshop course. So in that one, we're going into hacking on internal networks and things like that. What are some of the things to look for? What are certain attacks and how do you secure against them? So one of the things that we're covering in this webinar is the kind of networking theory, the what you need to know before you can dive into it. So I have a lot of people from various skill levels in this program, from complete beginners that have no background in IT, like truck drivers, maybe people that are fresh out of the military and things like that didn't do anything with cybersecurity directly. Maybe some people have some IT backgrounds, some people that came from help desk, different things like that. We have all kinds of different backgrounds, so I got to make sure that it's very accessible to everyone so they can learn from the ground up, and then we get more complex as we go into further webinars. So this one is pretty early on in the workshop. I believe this is webinar 3, so we haven't gotten to the super advanced stuff yet, but yeah, definitely they build on each other and it gets more advanced, but we kind of bring everyone up from zero. So I'm running this call here. It's going to run for 2 hours of me teaching them the stuff from the ground up, showing them demos and things like that, and also answering any questions they have as it comes up. So that's what you're seeing there. So one of the things that I just finished was sending voice notes to my clients, the people that I'm mentoring, because I've had everyone go through and create pen test reports or security reports if they're working on like a defensive cybersecurity course that I have a workshop. And I have them send me the draft so I can identify any issues, make sure they have a very professional looking report and things like that, because I've seen thousands of these reports in my career. I've had to write them all the time, multiple times a week. So I have a very good eye for what makes a professional report versus an amateur report. And let me just tell you guys that there's so many common mistakes that people make. I almost never see someone hit a home run on the first attempt. So that was one of the things that I was doing. You know, I was reading these reports, I was sending them voice notes back, because honestly, the reason that I send voice notes for these is if I were to type out all the things that I would change about the report, it would take me so long to type it all out that it's easier for me, quite honestly, just to send the voice note and respond to it that way. I'll just send a voice note with all the feedback for these reports, things that they need to change and fix, and then they go make the corrections, and we keep having this iterative process back and forth until in the end they have a very solid pen test report. And we've actually been able to utilize that to get people jobs straight in cybersecurity. Like pretty crazy. I had this guy that was like interviewing for a programmer job because he majored in computer science, but he was like, hey, I know you're interviewing me for this, but I'm really passionate about pen testing and I've written some reports. They're like, oh really? Well, could you send one over? We'd love to take a look. And he sent over the one that I had helped them with, and they were so impressed by it that they circled back with him and said, hey, I know we're interviewing you for this, but we actually have an opening on our pen testing team. We'd like to give you an offer. You know, that was like years ago. Now this guy has like 2 years experience in the field, and I mean, pretty much the sky's his limit from here. He can pretty much do whatever he wants. So stuff like that, very important, because no one is doing this. People don't want to write reports. It's boring, right? It's not sexy. Hacking is sexy. Report writing is boring. No one does it. So even if you take nothing else from this video, write some reports. Even if they're bad, it will be better than what most people have. Now, if you can get someone that has experience in the field to review it for you, then now you're standing out at that point. But yeah, at a minimum, do that. That's what I just got done here. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to dive into some cybersecurity myself and skill development. So maybe you're considering doing something similar, trying to get into a position in your life where you can travel the world, live remotely. Maybe there's a particular place that you're super interested in. And I remember the craziest thing is I've always wanted to come to Seoul, South Korea. I remember sitting in a cubicle. This is a very clear, distinct memory that I have, is in 2017, sitting in a cubicle, just like fantasizing about being able to come here and spend time here, more than just what you would get on like a short vacation or something like that, but actually getting to immerse myself in the culture, you know, with the people, living amongst them, and actually gaining an experience that you could get beyond like what most people experience. Because I've been doing a lot of traveling this year, and that's one of the things that I've noticed. But even back then in 2017, I kind of knew this, that there's very few people that are actually experiencing the world, actually experiencing other places, especially if we're talking about Western people coming to like Asia or something like that, where it's just a way different culture. So often, I would say 99.9% of the time, the people that, you know, are even rare enough to visit here from, let's say, America or something like that, or, you know, somewhere in Europe, well, usually they're just coming here on a short trip, maybe with a tour guide or something like that. They're seeing the touristy stuff. Even if they go and party in some of like the bar areas like Itaewon or Hongdae or something like that, they're just going going to like the super foreigner heavy bars. And to be fair, it is a little bit tricky in Korea because if you don't know this, some of the bars, they won't let foreigners in. If you don't know a little bit of Korean or come with a Korean person, you could get rejected out the door. And that's just how it is in Asia, Same thing with Japan. That happens all the time. But many of these people, like, they will only go to these places. And my point is they just stick to the most touristy spots. They stick to where all the other foreigners are. And even beyond that, the people that come and live in these places, they also only talk to foreigners most of the time. They only have their little expat friends, stay in their little expat bubble. You see this everywhere in the world, but I always had this fantasy of being able to come here and being able to experience it. And, I'm very fortunate to say this is something that I was able to do. And I will definitely be back here. I love it in Seoul. Gonna be checking out Busan soon. I'll keep you guys posted on that. I'll create another video for Busan if you guys want to check that out. But it's really cool to see that I've had this goal and I saw it through to the end. And here's one of the key things. I wrote on a piece of paper that all my goals back in 2017, like the things that I wanted to accomplish. And actually, when I was moving out, when I moved to Asia out of the US in April of this year, and I was going through my stuff, I found that note and I was like, oh wow, this is really cool. Here's the note. I forgot about this thing. And I had coming here as one of the things. I had quitting my job, moving to Asia as one of the things. I had a bunch of other stuff too, and I was just going down the line. I'm like, yeah, I accomplished this, and this. And it's like, wow, all these things that I set out to do, 5 years later, I actually accomplished them. So here's the thing. If you want to do something like this, the very first thing that I would recommend to you guys is you want to be willing to commit at least 5 years. If it's a big goal, like, understand that that's not going to happen overnight. I would say, as a good general rule of thumb, be willing to commit 5 years. And if you evaluate and you're like, that's too long, well, maybe it's not a big enough or important enough goal to you. Maybe you really find that, and that's okay too. Like, maybe you find that, hey, I thought I wanted to do this thing, but I didn't want to do it as badly as I initially thought. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, actually, what's better than achieving a goal is not having the goal in the first place. Because if you achieve a goal that's not that important to you, you have to spend all the time and everything, all the effort, and then you achieve the thing, and then only to find out, oh, I don't really care. You could have had all that time back. When you decide that a goal is not important to you, you get way more leverage, because not only is it just as good as achieving it because you don't care anyways, but you also don't have to waste the time and the energy. So yeah, if you find that, by all means. But if you do the exercise and you find that, yeah, I am willing to commit 5 years to this path, then it's very, very much worth your time. And, even just having the desire is not going to be enough. Obviously, you need a means to make it happen, right? Like, you have to have a stable source of income. You need like a remote job or some way to make money that is location independent. So if you don't have that yet, so whether you have like a plan to make that happen or not, you definitely want to leverage a mentor, someone who's done it, someone that's on the other side and can, see the pitfalls along the way. So definitely send me a DM to my Instagram with the word Korea, so I know you came from this video, and I can help you come up with a plan, come up with a pathway, or maybe you even have a plan already. I can give you some feedback on that plan to make sure you're on the right track. So I want you guys to experience this amazing life, same as me, because this is awesome. I'm going to be honest with you guys. It is every bit as good as I thought it would be back in 2017. Like, it really is that amazing to be able to live a life like this. I couldn't fathom it back then. And maybe you're watching this and you're like, oh, that's cool. Some people can do that, but I don't know if I can do that, right? Let me just say, if you're willing to commit at least 5 years, you can make it happen. And if you get nothing else from this video, I just want you to know that, right? You just need the right skill sets. You need to structure your life in a way that is accommodating of this lifestyle. And if you do that and you're willing to persist, then there's no reason why you can't be living here or living wherever you want to be in the world, right? There's never been a better time than 2024 for this stuff. So at this point, we're going to go in and get some more work done today. Now we have our coffee and we're all ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and get into the task list that I make. So these task lists, I will prep the night before, because what I've found is it's a lot easier to stick to doing stuff when you already know what it is you're going to do. There's less friction. One thing that makes people procrastinate is they don't know what to work on. So if you're trying to wear the hat of the planner and the doer at the same time, that's just going to be more friction in your way. It's going to be more likely, at least for me, that I procrastinate on it, don't get it done. So I have these cards listed out on the tasks that I want to do for the day, and I kind of calculate an estimate of how long that's going to take me, and I will just address one card at a time. So that's what I'm doing here, basically doing a lot of admin work, but I'm making sure I'm prioritizing the most important things that are going to move the business forward, move the needle forward the most. So this time is dedicated paid towards business first and foremost. I am working through a certification right now by Altered Security. So I'm still always honing my cybersecurity skill set so I can provide more value to my clients, and also so that I can improve as well, so that when I'm doing these freelance contracts and things like that, that I am solid. So that is something that I like to save for later in the day. I need to make sure that I take care of business first, and that is something that we're going to be doing later. But right now it's mostly just on the business, and also responding to messages and catching up on the emails and things like that. Of course, that'll be later in my working sessions. So yeah, this is pretty much my day-to-day life in Seoul, South Korea, and working remotely. So if you want to make this happen for yourself as well, DM me on Instagram at Elevate Cyber with the word Korea, so I know that you came from this video, and we'll get you on the path. We'll make sure that what you're doing is the most effective thing, and you're going to be able to make this happen from here. Like I said, it's only about persistence and actually carrying out the plan, right? You can do this first and foremost. You have to believe that truly, because if you don't, then, you're not going to stick it through. So, so many people will tell you otherwise, may even question you, because this is a different lifestyle. Everyone that is probably like working in the office and silently hating it, right? Or maybe not so silently, right? But there is another way to live in 2024, and I've helped many people get remote jobs and make this happen as well. But yeah, if there's anything else you would like to see in these videos too, feel free to drop a comment. I definitely love checking out these comments and hearing from you guys. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.